Hey guys, Pat here from Surviving on the Cheap, and I'm just going to do a very quick video on quality versus quantity or price, I guess, as far as knives are concerned. So in front of you we have 6 knives, 3 good, 3 bad, in my opinion, and they're all basically around the 25 and under range. Some of them a lot less, some of them right around 25. So let's get started. Start with the, in my opinion, not so good knives. This is the K-Bar Warthog, I do believe, and the reason I don't like this knife, one, I don't know, I don't like the way it looks, but that looks aren't really all that there are to a knife. But the quality of the knife overall just isn't that good. Let's see if I can get this. I just know. Let's see, we'll angle this up. See that? We'll just. The detent is awful. I just flicked my wrist down and the knife opened. It's also got a good amount of sideways play, which should not be the case. And the liner on this is tiny. Let's see if we can get that to focus. It's just it's like microscopic. So I have no doubt that that the liner on this would fail under some serious stress, especially for such a big blade. It's just, I don't know, this is a $18 knife, and it's just, the quality is not where it should be. So that's one example of a bad knife. You can get a much better knife for less than this knife costs, let alone the $18 that this costs, which is not much, don't get me wrong, but you can get a better knife. Such as this. This is the Seriketi Suma McGinnis. I love this knife. John loves this knife as well. He actually wants to buy this off me or trade, and I keep telling him no because I love it. But it's a great, beautiful knife, super sharp. The mechanism is solid. There's no... See that? I mean, I got it to open by slamming it. But it's just smooth, nice design, good steel, good handle material, and it's a really responsive knife. It comes razor sharp out of the box, the alignment's good. This thing, when I got it out of the box, the blade was almost touching the side handle here. But this and this, both in the same wheelhouse as far as blade length is. This one's obviously got a bigger belly just because of the shape of the blade itself. But I mean, you can get this knife for roughly the same price as this. And in my opinion, this is a much higher quality knife. Let's take a look at these guys. We got this. This is the Camillus Les Stroud knife. We're going to have a tabletop coming up on this soon. But, spoiler alert, I love Les Stroud. I'm not really in love with this knife. This is the Desert Survival knife, I do believe, the folder. First things first, listen. That drives me crazy. Just the sound is awful. But I mean, there we go. Get some light on that. There's not much sideways wiggle, not much. There's a little bit of up and down. That's not the problem here. My problem with the knife is the detent. This is a designer knife. Well, not designer, but this is a signature knife, and this is a big problem. You can just kind of like shake it up and down and going for a jog or whatever, and the knife sticks out. You pay $25 for a knife, and you go to, this is also tip up too, so you go to reach in your pocket, and that'll just gash your finger right open. And I don't think I'm the only one that experienced these problems. I've been checking reviews and stuff. I don't know. The detent on this knife is just not where it should be. And if you tighten the bolts up here any tighter, it's almost impossible to open. I mean, it's not easy to open, but you can open it with a finger flick. One last complaint about this is this little groove here for the flint, the ferrocene rod is powder coated, just like the blade is, titanium coated. So, and it's not a 90-degree angle. So when you go to strike your flint, say you're using this as an actual survival knife, your first like 100 strikes are just going to be nothing because you got to wear the coating off the blade, and then it'll finally do something. But by that point, you've probably given up, or have you gotten killed by a bear. Not really, but I mean, for the same price, actually less, you can get so many different knives. I mean, the Bear Grylls knife, great alternative. I'm not really a big fan of Bear Grylls, or his show at least, but that's a great knife. I love Les Stroud, but I'm sorry, I'm not digging this. Now, a knife that's surprising, this M-Tech, the little stiletto. This is a surprisingly really good knife. I mean, the liner is solid. It's got this nice little thumb wedge, so when you close it, it's really responsive. The thumb stud works great. I almost cut my thumb off. It's also got this, so it's waveable out of the pocket. You can just snap it right open. This is comparable to the Cold Steel T-Light, I do believe it is. Except it's less. This was, I think, like $15 or less. And most people are like, oh, M-Tech's not that great. I mean, this knife out of the box is decently sharp. It can hold a pretty decent edge. And, I mean, all I had to do was just adjust the blade centering, and this thing is great. I love it. It's surprisingly a really good knife. It carries deep, and for the price, you really can't go wrong. Let's talk about this. This is one thing you got to be wary of. Online, you get a lot of knives that are Benchmades and Cold Steel this and Custa this. A lot of them are fakes, like this. I bought this. I think it was $8. I was like, wow. I wonder how terrible this thing is. So I bought it, and you can see there it has the Benchmade logo. See? But it's not a Benchmade. Let's talk about a few things. One, it is impossible to open unless you loosen up the nuts or the screws here, and when you do that, the centering of the blade, the blade actually touches the inside scales, and the blade wiggles from left to right about 5 feet, and up and down too. It's got a lot of play, so you got to tighten it up. And when you tighten it up, when you flick it open like this, and you think it's open. I'm just gonna give it one whack. No, it's not even close to open. You gotta hit it back, and I locked it back. I whacked it once, and it's still not even. I don't know. This is what you get when you buy a knockoff knife. I mean, you can go on AliExpress, something like that. You can get a good knockoff, but people pay $8, $20, $10, whatever for a Benchmade knockoff. You can't really expect much. So don't expect much from a lot of knockoffs, is I guess the moral story here. But, I mean, this knife is terrible. But then you get this sort of knockoff. I guess it's a knockoff of a Benchmade because it's got the access lock. And this is a San Remo 763. This is one of my favorite knives. The knife itself is it's a beautiful looking knife. It's got the access lock, which is, one, a lot of fun to play with because you can just whip the knife in and out. And when it locks, this thing is solid. This is not going anywhere. There's no blade play this way, no up and down, very little left and right, and thing's just solid. Ugh. There we go. It's a solid little knife, and I mean, it's from China. It takes a little while to ship, but when you get it, after spending your $18 or whatever at the most, I guarantee you will not be upset. This is a amazing knife. Actually, John from Florida Adventure has ordered one, and he loves it. I cannot recommend this knife highly enough. San Remo 763. You can check them out on aliexpress.com, ALIexpress.com, and you can find them on there. I have the aluminum handles. John has the G10 handles, but I love this knife. I mean, it's a great knife for. I think I got mine for $14.50 something, and this uses the same technology as a Benchmade. I think it's made in the same factory. It's just they don't put the Benchmade logo in, and they use a few different cheaper things like the steel. This is 8CR13 MOV, which is really good, cheaper steel. And then you get this type of thing, which is a Benchmade, and this thing sucks. So the moral of the story here is, when you're shopping for knives and you're a collector, like I am, like John is, you can come across a lot of knives that are great, a lot of knives that are terrible, a lot of knives that seem like they're too good to be true, and a lot of times they are. But it all depends what you're shopping for. I mean, you can get a $18 knife that you will fall in love with that has the same technology as a $180 knife, Or you can buy a official less shroud knife and be stoked about it, and then you get it in and you're just kind of let down. It's all about shopping smart. You gotta shop smart, you gotta look around, and if a deal is too good to be true, most of the times it is.